Welcome back, chess fans. Today we are looking at a position that might look simple at first glance, but it serves as a masterclass in tactical economy. We have a position on the board where white to move. We have a rook on g2, a king on e1, and a pawn on f5. Black has a king on h6, a rook on h7 and a knight on h5. Now stop. Look at this board. Most players in this exact position would panic. You are staring down a black king that is actively looking to coordinate, a rook that is pressuring your position, and a knight that is effectively cutting off your mobility. The engine might tell you it is a win, but finding the conversion in a high-pressure situation is where grandmasters are made. Let's break down the geometry. The black king is trapped on the h6 square. The white pawn on f5 is an absolute monster. It restricts the king's access to the g6 square and controls key territory. The rook on g2 is currently eyeing the g-file, but it is blocked by its own pawn structure. But look deeper. Look at the tactical motifs. We have a classic ladder pattern potential, and we have a king restricted to the edge of the board. The candidate move here is rg6, and it is a move that is so aesthetically pleasing it should be in a museum. Why is rg6 the move? Let's analyze the geometry. When the rook lands on g6, it delivers check. The king on h6 is now attacked. Can the king go to h5? No, the pawn on f5 controls that square. Can the king go to g7? No, the rook on g6 covers the entire g-file. Can the king go to h7? No, the rook on h7 is blocked by the king itself, but the rook on g6 effectively cuts off the 7th rank for the king's retreat. Is there a capture? Can the knight on h5 take the rook on g6? Let's look at the geometry again. The pawn on f5 is the unsung hero here. If the knight were to move, it doesn't even have a path to capture on g6 in this specific configuration. The check is absolute. It is a mate in one. But why is this a grandmaster level concept? It is because of the concept of the choking rook. Often players try to maneuver with the king, playing c2 to c3, looking for some complex endgame technique, wasting time. But the grandmaster sees the geometry. He sees the X pattern of the pawn and the vertical pressure of the rook. He realizes that the sacrifice of time is not necessary when the execution is instant. This is the difference between a club player and a master. A club player sees an endgame and thinks, I need to centralize my king. A master sees an endgame and thinks, where is the geometry of the mate? The precision here is 100%. If you play this move, the game ends. If you miss this move, you enter a theoretical endgame that is technically winning but practically a nightmare. Imagine you have only 30 seconds on your clock. You are in a tournament hall. Your heart is pounding. You have to decide. Do I play the slow grind? Or do I find the elegant solution? rg6. The rook slides into the g6 square, slicing through the air, and delivering the final blow. The knight on h5 watches in horror. The king on h6 has nowhere to run. It is checkmate. The game is over. This is exactly why we study endgames. It is not just about memorizing table bases. It is about pattern recognition. You need to train your eyes to see these configurations. Ask yourself, if my rook were on g6, would the opponent be mated? If yes, how do I get it there? In this case, the rook is already on the board ready to strike. The simplicity is deceptive. Many people overlook the power of the f5 pawn. They think it is just a piece of wood, but in this structure it is a wall. It is an immovable barrier. Without that pawn on f5, this position is a draw or worse. With that pawn on f5, the position is a forced win. This is the beauty of chess. Every single unit, from the humble pawn to the powerful rook, has a specific function in the final picture. When you analyze your own games, don't just look for the blunder. Look for the moments where you had a rg6 opportunity, and you missed it because you were too busy focusing on material, rather than position. The art of the checkmate is the ultimate goal. But the journey to that mate is what makes you a stronger player. Think about the coordination. The rook and the pawn working in perfect harmony. It is a symphony of pieces. And remember, in chess, you are not playing the board. You are playing the geometry. Every time you sit down, look for the G6 squares. Look for the F5 walls. Look for the weaknesses in the enemy's formation. You will find that these patterns repeat themselves throughout your career. Whether you are playing bullet, blitz, or classical, these tactical motifs are the building blocks of your rating. I want you to go back to your own games, find a position where you were in a winning endgame, and see if you missed a forcing sequence. Did you make it harder than it needed to be? Did you move your king when you could have delivered the checkmate? Be honest with yourself. That is the only way to improve. And that is why we are here. We analyze, we learn, we grow. This one-move wonder is a testament to the fact that you don't always need a long, drawn-out attack to finish the game. Sometimes you just need to see the one move that changes everything. Practice your tactics, watch your endgames, and keep pushing for that next rating milestone. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dive masterclasses where we uncover the secrets of the grandmasters, one move at a time.